I don't think I'm ever gonna get used to that sound.
Kind of creepy.
Gosh. All right. All right. We are starting our podcast. Back again. Two legends, one loser. I'm Brett Robinson. The
I'm
loser
Hannah Head.
is
Aww. Butthole.
you did that. Oh, that makes me so happy.
But only get one audio at a time, you butt. Whatever.
And I'm Hallie
Oh,
Russell.
perfect introduction. Oh, that makes me really, really happy. Okay. All right. I am really glad that we're doing this again. This is gonna be fun. And I have a microphone. Had to show it
I have a
off.
VHS tape.
We've spent the last 20 weeks researching, podcasting, coming up with content to deliver.
Brett bought fish for this.
I did. I hope I can be able to zoom in right now. And I'll just like whenever Hannah's doing like a boring part of it, I'm just gonna zoom in on the fish.
You're a jerk.
Oh
Good.
gosh. But I'm actually really excited for Hannah's um topic today. So I will go ahead and mute myself. Turn it over to you.
Finally.
I'm pumped.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about skinwalkers. Hallie, do you know what skinwalkers are?
The thing is, like, I've heard you talk about them, but no.
Okay.
Short answer.
You're gonna live, laugh, love this, is all I have to say. Okay. So, skinwalkers are a part of North American and Navajo tribe legend. The name in Navajo, and I'm gonna totally screw this up. Dad just called me, so he's about to call all of us. um, so the name in Navajo,
Watch him not call either of us, and he only loves you. You put that out there.
okay, but
I have 0 notifications in case you're wondering.
sucker. Okay, so in Navajo, it's. Can you guys shut up so I can try to butcher this word? Yen
Make her say
Alados.
it Navajo one more time.
I'm done. I don't even know how to say it. Whatever. It's a Navajo word that means by means of trotting like a canine. That's what they call the skinwalkers. Okay?
Wait, I didn't hear you say the word. You have to say the Navajo word. It can't be Tahiti Petey.
Yen al Delushi.
Oh, okay.
Say it in a
I'd order
wider
that.
tone.
Whatever. Okay. They believe that skinwalkers are individuals who possess the ability to shapeshift into animals, usually at night, and inflict harm on others. Despite being primarily associated with Navajo culture, the Skinwalker legend is present in several other Native American tribes, each with their own interpretation of the supernatural creature. But be warned, speaking openly about skinwalkers is considered taboo in Native American communities. It is believed to attract their attention and bring harm. That has given these supernatural creatures an air of even greater mystery, as information on them is as elusive as the skinwalkers themselves. So,
I kind of hate that you read that. That was
You're
scary.
bringing it up, intentionally trying to haunt us.
that's literally, we'll get into that. Okay. What is a skinwalker? There are many theories of what the mysterious skinwalker is, but its origins in Native American legend paint the picture of a shape-shifting witch with supernatural power. Navajo stories, for instance, say that a person becomes a skinwalker by committing a heinous act, like taking a family member's life. This terrible crime allows the witch to take form of an animal at will by wearing the skin of a specific creature, hence the name skinwalker. Though the legend has similar,
This is scarier than I knew.
yeah.
Like
Well,
I know of this, and
there were there were several things, and like I've been into skinwalkers and like talked about them, and like I'll tell a story about a run-in, but now knowing what it is, it's like even freakier, and I feel like I wasn't as scared in the moment as I should have been. Now, like reading like what it was. Um, but yeah, so it just
like
talks about. I'll read this last paragraph. Though
yeah,
the legend has similarities among several Native American tribes in that the Skinwalkers characterized as a harmful evil witch, there are some differences in the specific beliefs about these beings. Some tribes describe Skinwalkers as Navajo witches who have decided to use their powers um, for evil, while others may see this as an act of shape shifting as a tool. Often they are associated with canines, typically a coyote, but sometimes even a wolf. So, there's tons of like, I mean, movies, TV shows. Netflix came out with a documentary about like skinwalkers. Like, it's talked about often, but I think it's not as like really commonplace and talked about and understood what they are. So there's several like stories and stuff, and I just kind of like looked up like people's experiences with skinwalkers, and they were terrifying. So I'm gonna read the scariest ones.
you
Have fun.
know, Hannah. The funny thing is, like, as you guys know, I'm literally a podcast addict. Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
never met anyone who listens to more podcasts than I do. I am too afraid to listen to the Skinwalker ones. When it's like Skinwalkers and gin, these are like the two topics. Like I'm like, I skip it.
Gin?
I have that and sleep paralysis. Like I just can't.
Yeah.
It's just too real. I'm like,
I
nope,
don't
I'll
even
skip to the next
what
one.
is gin?
Oh, just you wait. It'll have its time.
Okay,
I'm
ready,
excited now.
Hal?
Okay. Another topic for the arsenal, Hannah.
Okay, so I know Brett is gonna be like linking the stories and different things. So on the article that I found, I'm gonna be reading story number 3 and story number 5. So
In the
this
description below.
story is titled "It Moved Like a Toy Rocking Horse."
Oh, I hate this. Hannah, this is a lot scarier than I thought it was gonna be.
She hasn't even read it, you baby.
Okay, ready? So this is story number 3. It moved like a toy rocking horse. My uncle is Mexican and Native American. This happened in the Mojave Desert in Southern California. He was driving around with his girlfriend late at night and they saw something that looked like a huge black dog on the side of the road. He slowed down and the dog began crossing the road. Instead of walking like a normal dog would, this
Mm-mm.
thing moved
Mm-mm.
like a toy rocking horse. He said it stopped in the middle of the road and stared right at them, and its eyes had a red glow. My uncle is the most badass person I know, and this scared the crap out of him. Hallie, do you have tears in your
That's
eyes?
scary.
Literally, I hate this. I hate this. Well, not
You're
only
gonna
that,
hate
but
this one so
Grim,
much more.
Grim, come here, Grim, come here. Look at my buddy in here today. Just a ginormous
It's a
black dog.
Skinwalker.
Are
He's
his
right
eyes
behind me,
glowing
isn't he?
red? I'm gonna die if I talk about this next one and then Graham just pops up. Okay. Okay, ready?
Mm.
This one is it had a dog's body, but with human hands and feet.
Oh,
This is a long one, so settle in.
Okay, really quick. Do you remember the episode of The Office where he's like the head of an eagle and the body of a chimpanzee?
Yes,
Okay, continue.
this is better.
I love it.
You ready?
Yeah.
I'm spending a month with my cousins at my grandma's house. It was August, and my cousins' ages ranged from 10 to 15. I was the oldest, being 15. I was staying with a 10, 13, and 14-year-old. We stayed up telling scary stories often, but one night, a few weeks in, we decided to make a campfire out back. My grandma's house is in a rural suburb, and neighbors aren't too far when you're driving down the road to her house, but in the backyard, it's thick forest with man made paths through it. Each house is on a hill, so only part of the basement was actually underground. That isn't important until later, though. So we're towards the east side of her yard, a smallish patch of open land. You couldn't see the neighboring yards from there, but there were probably 3/4 of a mile to each side of us that belonged to my grandma. It was maybe 11 at night, and we were playing truth or dare after telling scary stories. My 14-year-old cousin dared me and my 13-year-old cousin to go on a walk through the paths for 10 minutes or so. I said yes right away, as I wasn't easily scared and rather level headed, but my younger cousin was a bit more hesitant. We didn't bring a flashlight because it wasn't pitch dark yet, and we could see enough to not die. We were walking through the paths for about 5 minutes and could barely see the fire through the trees when we decided to turn around. In the middle of the path, there was a large dog like creature hunched over with his front hands an inch from the ground. What I remember most was how his eyes were so effing bright white. It was a humanoid dog shaped like a human, like head, but a dog like body, but human hands and feet. It looked right at us, and I know I was paralyzed with fear as it dashed away the opposite direction from us, towards a creek that ran through the yard. Eventually, my cousin and I screamed bloody effing murder, and the other cousins and my grandma ran to us. I don't remember much here because I was really disoriented and couldn't think properly, but I did wake up in bed, so I assume I was brought up to the house. All the kids slept in the basement in a big room with sliding glass doors to the outside, as the room was on the side that wasn't underground. My bed was pressed against the big glass window, and I could see my cousins playing outside down below. The house is in Michigan, so it gets slightly chilly even in the end of August. There was a slight breeze, so I put on a jacket and ran to join them outside, skipping breakfast, not wanting to miss out on anything fun. When I got down, I could tell that they weren't playing, but rather running to get my grandma. Her dogs, both of them, were dead, ripped up. That night we went to bed early. I woke up at maybe 2 or something in the morning because I felt something hit my head. My cousins were all sitting on the double bed opposite me on the other side of the room. There was one bunk bed and 2 double beds. The double beds for me and my 14-year-old cousin. They were being quiet and staring at me. The 13-year-old nodded his head towards the window. I froze. They all looked afraid. I turned my head slightly to the side and I saw a really messed up looking face pressed to the window with gaping eyes looking down at me. I screamed so effing loud and it bolted. My grandma called the police after I told her what had happened and they found nothing. I went home after that and have never been there during the night again.
That was scary.
I hated every second of that, truly and honestly. Oh my
There were so
God.
many times of that I was just like looking for Hallie's reaction. Like, oh, she's gonna hate this.
Ugh.
Here's the thing. To me, when the thing that scares me the most about Skinwalker stories is like, like the chupacabra. Like, it's like there's not like an aspect of like religion or spiritualism to it.
Mhm.
For Skinwalkers, as it like relates to Native American stuff, and it's got like so much
It's like
like myth
witchcraft.
and
Yeah.
stuff attached to it. Yeah, it's just like it's a different level of scary. It just ooh.
Okay.
Like, it's shocking to me. Like, I'm sorry. If I have one slight scary encounter, I'm gone. I'm gone. I don't care. Like, he literally stayed and just like breakfast, like a series of unfortunate events. I'm like, hello? You wouldn't leave after the first ginormous red flag?
But it's
Honestly,
grandma's house. You're supposed to feel safe there.
there's no rooms. What? It's just grandma's room in the unfinished basement. Hello?
It's finished.
Like,
Well, then-
if
With a
this
large window next
isn't
to his head.
Yeah.
the plot of a horror story where it's like, oh, instead of getting in the moving car, let's let's go through the woods and try to lose them there. Like, literally, that's them.
Yeah. It's
You're
good
not
shit right
wrong.
there. Okay, ready for my story now?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so Cooper and I live in San Diego, and we were driving back to Arizona to Gilbert. And to get through to Gilbert, there's a place called the Butterfield Trail. So it's a trail, I think it's like 32 miles. It's like 2-lane road, so one way each. Like,
Can I pause you really quick, Hannah?
yeah.
That is the road to driving to Jeep's farm.
Yeah.
And you know, like that's like the most windy, bouncy road ever. I did this drive with him. He would read the newspaper.
Yeah.
Read the newspaper, the actual newspaper.
Well, and two, the best part
You
about
just
that
really
is
aged
normally
yourself, Brett.
Yeah,
there was still
yeah.
newspapers. You realize that, right?
And then I would be typing on the typewriter.
With his VHS tape. Oh well. Okay. Yeah, it is like literally for 32 miles. You turn and around and turn. It is the
Terrible.
windiest road known to man.
Give us more sound effects.
ASMR.
More teeth,
We
more
need, yeah,
teeth.
we need to like layer that in.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone shut up and let me tell my freaking story.
No one
Okay.
was talking.
Okay. Also, you guys, I have a picture queued up and ready to send you that you both have to look at, and you're
Okay.
gonna poop your pants.
When we do that, you have to give us a countdown, and then we all look at it at the
Oh
same
yeah,
time.
no, I will. Okay. So we're driving down this road. It's 32 miles, super, super windy. It is about 2 o'clock in the morning. Because Cooper and we like had to leave late. I had gotten home from work. I didn't get home from work until like 7 or 8 p.m. And then we left San Diego. It's a 5.5 hour drive. So we're driving, and Cooper and I were talking, and like once we got down to this road, the vibes were just weird. Things were kind of freaky. We'll talk about this later on, but like I kind of have like a sixth sense thing going on. So I felt like hairs on the back of my neck standing up, really
Some
uncomfortable.
people call that gas.
IBS, indigestion.
Yeah. Yeah, I needed to take a Tums is all I can say. But so we're driving, and Cooper's my husband, by the way. But Cooper goes, "How crazy would it be if we saw something out here?" And I was like, "Mike, I don't know. Spooky nights, 2 o'clock in the morning, you never know." So we're driving with our brights on the whole way. And we're driving, I mean, it's probably a 45 or 50 mile an hour. We're probably going 65, 70. We're like cruising going through this with our brights on, no cars either direction for 32 miles. So we're going, and then he's like, "Dude, what if we see a skinwalker?" Because we just watched that Netflix documentary. And I was like, "Hey, if we're gonna see him anywhere, I'm like, we're probably gonna freaking see chupacabras out here." We're just, messing around, saying funny things. So we get going, and every time there's a branch, we're like, "Oh, that could have been one." And we're just like messing around anytime we see anything. And we saw like a coyote. We saw like a bunch of like wild animals as we were going. I think we saw 2 coyotes. We saw rabbits. We saw like, I don't know, a bunch of different things that were like running across the road. So there was like stuff going on. And
Did you see
anytime
Wiley Coyote?
what?
Wiley Coyote?
Yeah, he had some dynamite with him. It was crazy. No, so we're going, and then like we get to a point and we both go silent. And it is literally ice cold, like terrifying. We're both like, did you see that? And there was like what could have maybe been a tree branch hinged over, kind of like this, like a flat. And we were both like completely silent, and we're like, you saw that, right? And then I was like, there's no way. And he's like, I've never been more scared in my entire life. And he was like joking, like we were in a silly, goofy mood, having a fun time. We were both horrified. Like we did not talk for the next 10 miles until we got out of it. Literally, my knees are shaking. It was so scary. So we get out to the main road. We're like on Maricopa Road. We're going down. And I was like, what do skinwalkers even look like? And I Google searched and found the exact thing we saw. I shit you not. And I'm now going to send this to you. Okay? Are you ready?
No.
Okay, I'm ready. Gosh, I really hate. Oh, and you said a link. We have to click on the link. Oh,
Ugh.
Hannah. Okay,
Okay.
give us a countdown, Hannah.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at my skinwalker in 3,
Stop.
2, 1.
If it's a picture of you, I'm gonna be mad. Oh, that just gave me the chills. That was really
Oh,
scary.
oh my gosh, I'm literally deleting that out of my search history that makes me want to
Yeah.
die.
I have a tear in my eye.
I
Hannah.
genuinely, when I saw that, I like got teary, and Cooper and I were both like,
Mm-mm,
that's what
mm-mm.
we saw. Honestly and genuinely,
Hannah,
we have driven on that road since 10 times because we go back and forth all the time. We've never found that tree. We've never found anything branched over into the road like that. Never, ever,
that
ever.
was significantly scarier than I anticipated.
How do you we felt?
Why?
Fine.
Why is it like that is the scariest like
Yeah,
position? Like in anything,
I
like I
know.
remember like the episode of Psych where that girl is like possessed
Yeah,
and she like does a backbend and I'm like,
yeah.
no, mm-mm.
No, it
Yeah.
literally, I I don't think I've ever been that scared in my entire life. Like once we saw the picture, it confirmed, and the fact that that's the first picture you see if you look up Skinwalker and then press images.
The thing,
Like,
playing devil's advocate here, you guys are egging yourselves on.
oh, 100%.
Wait, say that again?
100%. But this was not the first time we've talked about seeing skinwalkers or seeing shit while we're driving. And it's not the last time. We now try to see skinwalkers every time we go on that road. Cooper will literally slow down. We will pull off to the side and let people pass us so we can drive with our brights on.
We
Our
could
dream would be
not.
to turn the brights on and there be a skinwalker in the middle of the road. That's what we hope for every time. But when
Why?
we
What are you gonna do?
the thrill. I don't know. Cooper wanted to turn around. When we saw that, we got like 5 miles down. He goes, should I turn around? And I was like, absolutely not. Do not turn around. That was the most scared I've ever been in my entire life.
I cannot relate to you in any aspect of this conversation.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Like if it was like anything else, not anything else, but there's a lot of other things that I'd be like, I gotta go see. Like, was that real? But that, and even just seeing that picture, like literally, you sent that to me, just goosebumps all down my arms. Like that
Well, and
is
two, like
actually
I didn't want
so
to
freaky.
I didn't even want to look it up until I knew I had to send it to you guys. Because I wasn't gonna, and then I was like, no, I have to send it so they know how terrifying it was. And like
Yeah.
literally, we've driven past there in the daylight, we've driven past there at night multiple times, like at least 10 times on that same route. That's the only route in and out that we take. And there's never
Mm.
been that tree. There's never been a branch. There's never been any like foliage or anything that could be draping over like that anywhere on the path. Like anywhere in the 32 miles, it does not exist.
Yeah, no, you're right. I literally I know that drive pretty well.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
fine. Okay, that's my story. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Ugh, that was freaky deaky.
You're welcome.
You know,
Do you have
honestly,
a
I'm
Skinwalker
really
talk?
glad that we had you go first because mine's not scary.
Cool.
So I'm
Allie won't
really
be
glad that
sleeping
you went
tonight.
first.
You're welcome.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was purely terrifying. Like, well done, but gosh. Oh,
Everybody click the
okay.
link.
All right. Are you guys ready for my story?
Yep.
And we'll be right after this commercial break. I'm just
Oh.
kidding. I would love it if we could actually schedule a commercial. I don't know how that works. We'll figure it out eventually. Um, anyways, okay. Have you guys ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment?
No.
No. Does it involve cream cheese?
I was just about to say, in the dairy aisle, it's between sour cream and cottage cheese. Um,
Yes, very familiar.
okay, so this is a weird, weird story. Okay, what brand are all of your cups? Stanley,
Oh,
Stanley. Hallie, what is yours?
my
Juice.
reduce. But I have a blue Stanley that I will have to bring next time to be part of the crew.
This isn't even mine. This is Sierra's, but she
Whatever.
got the like 64-ounce one, and so now I use it. We got an ice machine. It does like sonic ice. It is
Oh,
so great. And so I like scoop it in here and it's life is good with it, I'll tell you that. But anyway, okay. So I'm old school as I was just talking to Sierra before this that I had thought that Instagram was still only for pictures. And so and then I told her
love.
that I would be uploading this on the YouTube. So feel pretty old.
I was gonna
How's
say
that
I feel old
typewriter?
school because my laptop is literally burning my legs. It's so hot right now. I just had to pick it up because I think my leggings might burn.
Hey, just know that with 10,000 lessons, Hannah can afford a new laptop.
Like and
With
subscribe
10,000
so I can get a new
lessons? What?
laptop.
Listen.
Oh, listen.
Oh,
I heard
Yeah.
lessons.
lessons of what?
Look how
Whatever
bumpy and
Hannah
rough
has
those
to
pictures
teach.
are.
Gosh, what are you
What?
doing, Hannah?
These pictures
I
are
have
like,
thought that was a picture of a bird the entire time.
nope, that's me.
I really thought, just from only seeing your feet, I thought it was a bird this entire time.
Ew.
Anyways, okay, I'm gonna get into my story. No more dilly-dallying. Okay, so this is a really special day that we actually all know. October 28th, 1943. Do you guys remember what happened?
I,
Oktoberfest.
Dad
No,
was
I'm just
born.
kidding. We don't have any relation to this date, but I wanted you to think about it just long enough to make you panic. But anyways, okay, so this is a really weird story. There's a whole bunch of weirdness to it. And so I'll put links, um, I'll send them to you guys, and then I'll also put them in the notes of this podcast. But the Philadelphia experiment has been recognized from the Navy. Like right now, I literally have an article of the Philadelphia experiment from the Navy Department Library. Thank you, Hannah. You've been practicing for months for that moment, and I think it paid off.
Thank you.
That's her first
Okay,
lesson.
One of 10,000.
Oh gosh. Okay, so the thing that's interesting is there's two totally different stories that happen. So the Navy identifies that their timeline for this story is different than what can be found elsewhere. Okay. So I'm going to start with the Navy's version of this, and then I'll go to what how we commonly know of it. So they talk that the story, like the incorrect, they believe that this is all fictional. They say that the genesis of the Philadelphia experiment myth dates back to 1955 with the publication of The Case for UFOs by late Morris K. Jessup. Okay, so I won't get into all of the details of this, because this guy Jessup was given this book from an author, Carlos Allende. And so he talks about a secret experiment that was conducted by the Navy. And the whole purpose of this was occurring in World War II. So we are actively in war. And the other two things that are really interesting are that, you know, right before this, we had Pearl Harbor happen, Japan attacking us. A whole bunch of water things happened with that, torpedoes and all that as well, even though it was aerial attack, but there were torpedoes, like water-based attacks happening from Japan as well as Germany, from what I've read. I am certainly not an expert in World War II history. But what happened was in this article, or in this, really like a, what do you call it? Um, it looks like a postcard, honestly, what I'm going to send you guys. He talks that they were trying to make it so that their ships would be completely undetectable from sonar and radar, so that they would basically be invisible. Okay. So that's what they talk about this whole process. Okay. And they called it degaussing. And so I'd never heard of this. I'm like, what? And then I will show you guys some links. So I was like, okay, let me look at this. And I'm going to send this in a link to you guys right now. Okay. So if you look at degaussing, so the whole purpose of this, and it started from Albert Einstein. He had his theory what of unified field, talking about like magnetism and the effects of magnetism, that it could be able to cause invisibility and all these different things. So now let me read you the definition of degaussing. Okay. Degaussing is the process of decreasing or eliminating remnant magnetic field. It is named after the Gauss, a unit of magnetism. Blah, 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 blah. I won't tell you all those. It is generally not possible to reduce magnetic field completely to zero, so degaussing typically induces a very small known field referred to as bias. Okay. That's the other thing too. As you read reports, you'll find that they use this word bias in different ways. It's weird. Okay, so anyways, but I want to point something out too, and I'm using this Wikipedia article because it's just the most succinct. Excuse me. But um I'm going to read, it's like this third paragraph down. Okay. It says the original method of degaussing was to install electromagnetic coils into ships, known as coiling. In addition to being able to bias the ship continually or provide this magnetism, well, truly lack of magnetism, coiling also allowed the bias field to be reversed in the southern hemisphere because there'd have to be different magnetisms, like how you switch a magnet, how one side's strong and the other's not. Anyways, you know what I mean? Where the mines were set to detect S pull down field. So basically, the opposite direction. Now listen to this. British ships, notably cruisers and battleships, were well protected by about 1943. Okay. So right here we're reading this already occurred
Okay.
in, you know, so um and we literally there's so many things. We have a whole bunch of different things that have happened and experiences that have taken place. But what happened was the US during the Philadelphia experiment was trying to make it so their ships were invisible to the enemy. Okay. So what occurred was, oh shoot, what is the name of it? I gotta pull up the name. Um, okay. So wait, that's not the name of it. Oh, sorry. Let me pull it up here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. Okay. So it was used on the USS Eldridge. Okay. And so I can send you a picture of this ship afterwards. Okay. We know it's a ship. We know where this ship was and all of this. Okay. So one other thing that I want to give a little context of beforehand is that especially at this time, I don't know shipping. This is all kind of new and different to me, but they have like a log. And so it's like when they arrive in dock or before they do anything, they like document everything. Okay.
Okay.
So we have the logs from the USS Eldridge. Okay. And at this time, it was in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. Okay. We have that in the ship's log. Okay. So then, as if ever a ship has a log, we kind of have a history without having like the cameras there. Okay. So what happened was they started to do this degaussing on the USS Eldridge to try to see if it could be able to be invisible. Okay. So I want to pull it up and just read it. Okay. All right. So um, there is a guy, forget his name. Anyways, I'll skip. Oh, Carl M. Allen sent a package of this book and talking about all these different things. And so, in Allen's account, this destroyer, the USS Eldridge, was made invisible. And then, in that moment, the ship teleported from Philadelphia to Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, for several minutes. On reports, it lasted for about 20 minutes and then reappeared in the Philadelphia yard. Okay. Now, the thing that's crazy is they say that it teleported to Norfolk, Virginia. There are other ships' logs that registered the USS Eldridge being there 10 minutes before it disappeared in Philadelphia.
Stop.
It's in the logs. Like we have it, it's there.
Why is this freaking me out just as much?
Okay, and
Literally,
so
ship teleporting. I'm crying. I'm like,
here without you, baby. That's what comes to my head when I think of teleporting. I don't know. Anyways,
Confused.
okay. But so the thing that's really interesting and just kind of crazy about this is listen to this next part of it, okay? The ship's crew was supposed to have suffered various side effects, including insanity, intangibility, and being frozen in place. When Jessup wrote back requesting more information to corroborate the story, he said that the memory would need to be recovered. Okay. So the other thing is really interesting in other reports, they then sent this ship immediately to like the Straits of Gibraltar, something like really far away. Like it had been more local, and then it's like, nope, go. Anyways, so they talked about during this time that um the sailors on the ship, some of them were fused to the ship. Some of them just completely died. Some of them were fused to the ship but still alive. It's like their atoms combined with this metal of the ship. So now I want to send you guys a link. I don't know why this comes from wyomingpublicmedia.org. As I understand, there's
That
literally
makes me think it's
no.
really real.
Sounds reputable.
I will
First Wikipedia, now it's Wyoming Public Media. Nice.
Okay, but guys, you gotta look at this note.
Okay.
It's just it's just really, really strange, okay? Do you guys see this?
Yeah.
It's just it's just weird. And like, I don't know. And so there's all these different pictures. And the other thing that's really interesting is he wrote in like three different colors of ink. Okay.
and like
Okay. So
all the
now,
handwriting is different.
Yeah.
yeah, yep. Okay. And now, the next thing that I want to tell you, Carlos Allende is not a real person. They believe it was a pseudonym for someone else, but they don't know. Okay. But all of these things, like all of these reports, are from like they can't trace it to the people. Like they can't trace it to Carlos Allende. It's not like he was a ship or on the ship. He wasn't in the port. We don't know a Carlos Allende. And so all we have is these ship logs that identify that the ships were literally in Philadelphia and Norfolk, Virginia, which are over 200 miles apart. And the one was there 10 minutes before it was supposed to have left. And then it reappeared 20 minutes later. That's basically, there's a whole lot more to it, but that is the story of the Philadelphia experiment.
What the heck?
They
Okay, so what's the
really
new
may
reason?
have, and as they say, you know, if degaussing was really on all of the cruisers and battleships by 1943, and those are the British battleships, we absolutely could have already had invisibility and teleportation done by then, and we just don't know. Is that the weirdest thing you ever heard?
Well, so I've been watching Avengers Endgame, and I feel like it really has a parallel. Connecting the
Okay,
dots.
I've never seen that, but go ahead.
I know that was all I was gonna say. Go watch it,
That was
and then
deep.
you'll
Thanks.
you'll laugh. No, they time travel in it.
Oh, okay.
It's like hot tub
But
time
isn't
machine.
that?
Back to the Future, hot tub time machine, shaking hands, Philadelphia experiment.
But here's the
That's
thing, though.
freaking
Even like that
crazy.
degaussing that that I sent to you, like it's a real thing. That's where I was like, okay, that sounds so dumb. Of course, that's not real. They can't do it. And it's like, no, they literally do this. They still do this. They talk about in 2009, they did a prototype of this degaussing coil system. Like they're still using.
It's crazy because so it's like a thing. Like it is a known thing. You can find research on it. And it's also kind of like a joke within the Navy community. There's something on the ship, and they think it's because there are literal nuclear power pit blah, 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 nuclear power plants on the ships. It kills all the male sperm. So all male sailors can only produce female offspring. Like all our friends who are in the Navy only have girls. So if like you've stepped foot on a ship because you're sitting there, you're there for like 7 to 12 months at a time getting nuclear energy pumped into your body as the only form of like that is the energy powering the ship, powering everything. And so
Have
like,
we tried to stick a magnet to the baby girls?
I will do that to Peyton next time I see her. Video. No, but so weird. Like all of our friends, everyone who's been on a ship, they do not have any boys. And like people have multiple kids and they've only had girls.
Okay, here's a good chance for people to comment below. If you have been on a Navy ship and have a son, let us know. We need proof.
Brett, were
See if
you on a
Hannah.
Navy ship up until 9 months ago? Those of you who don't know,
You know,
Brett has 17 children. All of them but one are a boy.
4 girls, 1 boy.
Brett, do your girls play with magnetiles?
They literally love them, actually.
It's
Of course
to
they
them.
do.
Ren gives off an energy that she would stick to magnets. Is that true?
She's like, look at my wings, guys. She has like a full magnetile wing. It's like sticking to her arm. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, send us a video of that when that happens.
I
It's
knew
not
I
an if,
shouldn't have
it's a
eaten that
when.
softball on the Navy ship.
Yeah, what were you doing? It's
Oh gosh.
crazy.
Okay. So, Hallie, what is your opinion as someone who is totally new to all this paranormal everything? What is your gosh, there's sounded like a watch alarm and a dog moving at the door, and it kind of freaked me out. Anyways, I'm
Skinwalker.
okay. But all right,
You
Hallie,
open
what's
the
your
door,
opinion
there's a
on these?
ship.
Wow. Huh.
With a crew of Skinwalkers.
Okay. I feel like I could debunk this Skinwalker thing.
Really?
No, I'm not saying them all together. The stories. I feel like there's logical explanations. And it goes back to the fact that like let's take that like really freaky story about the woods. It's like the animals can be so crazy. It
Human
might
face, dog body, human hands and feet.
okay, but he also didn't remember going back to the house. He remembers the human face, human body, could not remember one detail about the next 12 hours, so really trustworthy. I
Gosh,
no,
yeah.
see, I just my thing is I choose not to be a believer. Choose
Okay.
Hannah, that means
I
it's a
choose
yes.
my
Well done.
happiness.
Yeah.
No,
For
no, the thing is, I
sure.
think for you and Cooper, you love the thrill. You watch all the documentaries, you love scaring each other. It's like you love being scared together. You always have. You guys watch the freakiest of the freakiest. That makes it sound like you're watching
Some weird shit. I like
not triple
scary
X.
movies.
But no, you'll watch like any like documentary scary movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like
We do
if
not
you're
watch paranormal though. We don't
if
watch
you're yeah. But if you're wanting to see something, like I think you'll find it. You
See,
know?
I would agree with that, but we have literally gone back into it trying to see what we saw.
I know, but like the thing is, it even like because here's my argument. Like dust storms in Arizona can be like next level. So I'm like, it could have what if it was just some weird debris? Like I've been freaked out by what are those like weed ball things called?
Tumbleweed?
Tumbleweed. But do you know what I'm saying? Like it just might have been a weird condition. Yeah, it's like when you leave your laundry on a chair in your room and then you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, who's that person staring at me? And you turn on the light and it's just your clothes folded.
I have stories.
Yippee! Tide and Gain present Laundry Horrors. Okay, and then Brett's. Not gonna lie, she's a little far-fetched.
It sounds like someone needs to do more research on degaussers.
Idiot.
Send me another Wikipedia.
Plot twist, Brett wrote that article.
I know. No, that is freaky. No, for sure. But I don't know. You know how like it almost makes me think of like being on like Survivor, or like when you're like when like sailors see like sirens, you know what I'm talking about? Where you're like out at sea, losing your mind. Have you know what I'm saying? I feel like there was a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of that going on. And probably
I
someone at the ship log that couldn't write the right name. I don't know.
The thing though is like they're already like there's been so many articles and so many things that have started to come out because of like the time on them. Like Brett, what is that called? You know what I'm talking about? Like there are
Mandela
government
effect or something?
files. What?
Like the
Oh,
Mandela? No.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about there are government files and
like
government.
a release date of information.
Yeah, like it can
Okay.
only
Yeah.
be withheld for so many years, and then
Yeah.
it's there's like a legal term for it that I can't think of, but like after so much time, it's kind of like the same thing that like if you were to commit a crime and then like it goes unnoticed for 30 something years, a lot of times you can kind of get away with that because like what's that called? Whatever. But there have
I know
been
what you're talking about, but I don't know if
yeah,
there's like a word.
there is crap. I'm gonna remember it the second we hang up. But statute of limitations.
Yeah.
But like
Not one word, just saying.
yeah, a phrase, whatever. But there have already been like documents and things that like the military and the government have come out with of like crazy things that we're like, there's literally no way. Like the government, Cooper was just reading me an article that like they have said, yeah, UFOs, they're for sure a thing. And like they've now published documents that were like not to be seen by the public, and now like the statute of limitations is up, they have to show it to us, like we have to be able to see it.
Except, you know that they just redid the statute of limitations for JFK's assassination. It was up, and then they renewed it. They're like, ah, no, we're not going to release this one. It's like, what?
That's
And
crazy.
Epstein files.
Dude, there's some crazy freaking stuff out there.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is. So, more content to come in other weeks. I think these were good stories, though. Well done. That was fun. And we will see you next week on the podcast. Bye.
See ya.